Hi, this is Grandin Gill. I am the Academic Director of the Doctor of Business Administration program at the University of South Florida's Muma College of Business. And in this video, I am going to be talking a little bit about the dissertation process for the DBA program. The dissertation process structurally is very similar to that of the dissertation proposal process, for which I created a separate video. If you have not seen the video on the dissertation proposal process, I recommend that you watch that one first and then watch this video after that. So very quickly, what I'll be talking about today will start with the organization of the dissertation process. And since this is very, very similar to that of the proposal process, I will go over it very quickly. We've got the same teams that were established in the proposal, and the process and venue is nearly identical, so I won't spend a lot of time on this. What I will spend a lot of time on is the different types of dissertation that are permitted by the Muma College of Business, and these are written into the USF graduate catalog. And two of them are fairly similar to their PhD counterparts. One is the standard dissertation, another is the collection of related papers. But we also have some options that are very different. We've got the option to write a book intended for practice. We have the option of a project and white paper. And finally, we've got the option of a portfolio. And I'll talk about those a little bit more and why we've included these options in the DBA program. Finally, I will talk a little bit about the defense process, and I will talk about the rubrics that you'll be using, which we have not fully developed for the inaugural cohort. And then I'll talk a little bit about what deliverables we expect and how the process is expected to be conducted. And here again, it's a fairly close correspondence to what we saw in the proposal phase. Let me briefly review what the process will be. We are going to have a team of 4 faculty, and in some cases 5 faculty, who will serve as the same committee for 4 or 5 different DBA candidates, each of whom will be pursuing their own dissertation. The teams will be interdisciplinary, and the teams will be expected to assign co-chairs for each candidate so that each candidate has kind of a major professor or pair of professors to monitor his or her progress closely. In the dissertation phase of the DBA, there will be 10 meetings. The second weekend of February, March, April, May, June, then we skip July, then the second weekend of August, probably the third weekend of September so that we do not conflict with the DBA conference, which is the second weekend of September, and then second weekend of October, November, and December. And the December time frame is expected to be the time frame in which the defense takes place. Each meeting will be divided into 2 parts. During the first part, roughly 20 to 30 minutes each, the candidates will present their progress from the previous month and raise any issues that are relevant. And this way, each one of these student groups will form like a mini cohort and will hopefully keep each other energized so that everyone finishes on time. During the second half of that 4-hour block, which will be on a Friday, either from 8:30 to 12:30 or from 2:30 to 6:30 at night, the individual meetings with co-chairs for each candidate should take place. And it's very important that faculty and candidates keep these blocks of time open and available, because we really want to create as much structure as we can for this dissertation process, because unlike our traditional PhD students, these candidates are typically doing demanding jobs on the outside at an executive level in businesses, and structured work tends to crowd out unstructured work. So we want to make this process as structured as possible. I will now turn to the 5 different types of dissertation that are permitted in the DBA program. And as I mentioned, these are written into the course catalog, 2 of which being referred to as traditional dissertations and the other 3 being referred to as project-style dissertations in the catalog. So the traditional business dissertation is going to essentially be a document, normally with 6 or 7 sections, covering the literature, the research methodology, the research questions, findings, discussion, and conclusions, and so forth. What I have here on the slide is actually the proposal guidelines, and the proposal guidelines pretty much mirror the dissertation guidelines. The format of these dissertations should conform to university policy, and the DBA actually has a budget of up to $2,000 per candidate to help with formatting and writing if needed. And this should be mentioned with respect to all the dissertation types, because the DBA program has fundamentally different objectives from the PhD program, i.e., we are not trying to prepare our students to compete against other academics in the world of writing for top-tier and premier journals. We're actually trying to train our DBAs to apply research methods to problems or challenges that they're encountering in their business. And for this reason, we see that getting them assistance in the writing process is fine. In fact, if you take a look at most business books, one of the things that you'll discover is a lot of them have been ghostwritten, even when professors are listed as the authors, because academic writing is so different from practice-focused writing. So just be aware that it's okay for the candidates to seek out help in the area of writing if that's appropriate, because we're much more interested in their ability to really think about how to apply appropriate research techniques to business problems. The second type of allowable dissertation is also applicable to our PhD candidates as well as our DBA candidates. And this would be a collection of articles that are either published, publishable, or suitable for publication. And normally this would be 3 articles, and we would expect them to be united by some sort of common theme. And during the proposal process, we would expect them to sort of outline or highlight what that theme should be. So it's not just 3 random articles, it's 3 articles that relate to some common research theme and are research informed. Now, we do have 2 local peer-reviewed publications, the Muma Business Review and the Muma Case Review, and these could count among the articles. The committee should clarify as part of the proposal process what's acceptable and not acceptable, but there is no reason that articles focused towards a practitioner audience should not be considered acceptable within the DBA program. Now, that does not mean that you have to accept everything they publish. As a dissertation committee, your job is to ensure that there's a high quality outlet and high quality material has been created. But having said that, remember that the goal of this program is not to produce people who are publishing competitively for academic positions. By the time we get to the third dissertation type, we have moved significantly away from what would be acceptable in a traditional PhD program. In particular, the practice-focused book is proving to be a very popular option among many of our candidates. And what they would be doing in this option is attempting to write a book that would appeal to a practitioner audience. Now, as part of the proposal process, they should have identified the motivation for the book and what audience they are actually targeting. It could be general business people in practice, it could be a specific segment of business people, or it might possibly be practitioner scholars, such as attendees of other DBA programs. Uh, they should have provided some sort of chapter outline so you've got a clear enough idea of what the book is likely to look like so that you can approve it when you are in the proposal phase and then evaluate it when you're in the dissertation phase. Uh, and very important, it should be clear throughout the entire dissertation process how this book is informed by research. We do not want a book that is simply a collection of random thoughts from a manager, which is the way some business books appear to be. We want the book to be informed by research. We want it to be grounded in evidence or scholarship of other researches, and we want it to be a useful vehicle. And it's quite possible that some of these books might end up being books that are specifically intended as a vehicle through which research ideas can be communicated with practice. It may involve a synthesis than as opposed to a lot of new research ideas. And the committee should always feel comfortable working with the candidate to try to get the book in a form that is going to be both engaging for the reader and considered strong in terms of its scholarship. And the key evaluation criteria for these books throughout the dissertation process is going to be, is the work research informed? Because the whole idea of this DBA program is to make sure the candidates know research methods and can apply some of these methods appropriately to real-world settings. The fourth type of dissertation represents another significant departure from the traditional dissertation. And this is a dissertation consisting of some sort of project or project artifact and a white paper. Now, the reason we included this option within the set of allowable options is that the goal of the program, to repeat myself for the umpteenth time, is to allow participants to learn how to apply research methods to practical business problems. Well, there may be situations where the problem they're applying research to is proprietary enough so that they cannot share it through publication. If that's the case, then this particular option can be employed, and the proposal for this option would include a description of the underlying project, and some of the projects that we've seen coming up are the development of, say, software artifacts. Then we have a write-up identifying the different components they expect to see from the project, and also the project write-up, which is going to be key. And a concluding session that basically talks about how this project is informed by research. And the idea is that the project itself may be confidential, but the white paper should provide a justification for why this project is grounded in research. And once again, the key criteria for this particular option will be, is the work that is being developed informed by research? In other words, did you need to go through the DBA program in order to be able to complete this project effectively? The fifth and final dissertation type is what we call the portfolio option. And the portfolio option basically allows you to include a whole bunch of different types of artifacts in satisfaction of the dissertation requirement. And in the proposal phase, we would have expected the student to identify the specific elements that he or she expects to include in the portfolio and some indication of how those elements fit together to make for a demonstration that appropriate knowledge of research methods has been acquired. During the actual dissertation, the committee should verify and evaluate the quality of each element using criteria that are appropriate for that element. Obviously, the criteria for evaluating, say, a piece of software would be different from the criteria of evaluating an academic journal article. And part of what you would be evaluating as a committee member is, does the type of artifact fit the role it's supposed to play? The key evaluation criteria are going to be, as for all the others, is the work or collection informed by research? But in the case of a portfolio, we're also going to be interested in the degree to which these work together, as opposed to just being random pieces of work that have been slapped together as a portfolio. So we expect some common theme to be guiding the portfolio. It's a little early for us to say how this portfolio will fit in the overall collection of allowable dissertations. But one of the things that we anticipate is that some dissertation projects that start out one way may end up as portfolios as the process evolves. And so we always want the committee to be alert to the possibility that the form of the dissertation might change from a traditional dissertation or a book or a collection of papers to a portfolio of works. And there's no real problem with this, but that is something that the committee has to approve. Once the proposal has been established, you may hold the candidate to that proposal. And so as a consequence, the portfolio would be more of a negotiated solution in those situations. And since the committee will be meeting monthly with the candidate, there should be enough time to work these things out so there are no surprises in the defense phase. As of October 2016, the rubrics for the different types of dissertation remain under construction. These will, however, be developed by the DBA committee and will be distributed to faculty members of the different dissertation committees well in advance of the first round of defenses. The dissertation process will follow a pattern very similar to that of the dissertation proposal process, except for the fact it will take place over a much longer period. There will actually be 10 scheduled dissertation meetings starting the second weekend of February and ending the second weekend of December with the defense. Now, during the first 8 of these 10 meetings, remember, we do not meet in July. From February to October, before each meeting, the candidate will prepare a progress report. The faculty will then meet with the candidates for that 4-hour block of time, during which they'll plan the dissertation process, establish appropriate deliverables from candidates, set up milestones, and so forth. Remember that when this process is taking place as a faculty member, you are not trying to train them to become a faculty member like yourself. In other words, this is not an apprenticeship process. And so rather than having them learn the hard lessons through experience, you're always encouraged to give them advice as to how to move forward and what your personal expectations are. Now, when we get to the November meeting, what we encourage you to do is to essentially have a sort of a draft dissertation, have the participants present this draft to the committee, and then the faculty will come back and outline some steps to finalize. We do not want any surprises in the December defense, and so I think that ideally November will be used as a trial run. Now, there may be some people among the candidates who are not quite ready in November, but the greatest possible emphasis should be made on making sure that everyone in November has got enough so that there's not a lot of uncertainty about whether the defense will be acceptable come December. In December, you will have the actual defense process. The defense process will include a video, a poster, and a written portion. So the proposal did not require a poster, but regardless of what type of dissertation is being prepared, the video and the poster will need to be created, and then the written portion will correspond to whatever type of dissertation is appropriate. Prior to the December meeting, the second weekend of December, the faculty members will be expected to view the candidate videos, look at the poster, and review the written portion. Obviously, the two individuals designated as co-chairs will have particular responsibility to go over that written proportion very carefully. But we want to make sure that everyone on the committee has in fact seen the videos and posters and at least skimmed the written proportion for all of the candidates that they're assigned to. And then finally, there will be a defense in December. As was the case with proposals, because faculty will have already seen the video, the defense should be devoted to question and answers. And the expectation is that going into the defense, the vast majority of candidates will in fact get through it. If there's a problem, we need to identify that earlier. Now, in the unlikely event that a candidate does not get through the defense, essentially the candidate will continue paying tuition for the 2/3 of the credit hours that maintaining a committee requires. So the candidate will basically be paying $10,000 a semester to continue the process, and the committee will be basically convening for a quarter of what it was used to be convening by, because we can no longer pay the full amount based upon the number of students. So if a dissertation process extends past the December due date, it's going to be very costly for both the participants and the faculty involved. And we really have set forth this program to be a 3-year program. And so if there are problems, we want to identify them very, very early. And I, as the academic director, will continue to be monitoring these progress reports. And I would appreciate it if faculty members who are on committees and discover that there is a problem with a candidate that could potentially derail their completion on time. I very much appreciate letting me know as soon as possible, and that will give us an opportunity to try to remedy the situation before it becomes very serious. This pretty much completes the briefing on the dissertation process. If you have any further questions, I hope you will feel free to contact me. My email address is grandon@usf.edu. That is Grandon, Grandon, @usf.edu. And my cell phone number is 813-416-6175. This video is available to both participants in the program and to faculty who are in the program, and we look forward to seeing our first cohort graduate in 2017, and every year another cohort graduating after that. Thank you very much.